The opening stage on these studies is to show the materials involved on developing the different kind of prototypes, where in the ready-made was used, the clay was used, and then a clay procured and cleaned, soaked in water, cleaned, and then first trial of clay using the hay, and then the results became what it is, with a lot of cracks. Then interventions were required from now going on. Various attempts were made wherein the use of nylon strips as reinforcement or binders in the clay, and then knitted on a mold to see the effect of the clay. Then a mixture paste was prepared, then placed in a mold. Then at the end we observed the results with minor cracks. Later on, alternatively, a different material was used to construct the reinforcement on a mold with the same mixture of clay, and we observed the results that some also minor cracks were still there, which are quite visible than the ones before. The use of straw in cross-dimensional positionings was still engaged, wherein the plaster was mixed, plaster with polystyrene, plaster with sawdust, and then different prototypes were produced. What we observe here is the use of a ready-made with the plaster mix. All well-developed prototypes were subjected to tests, wherein the first test conducted were the usability tests. The test usability of the prototypes is by hollowing it out to install a downlighter fitting, of which we will do a test to see how it clips in and how it works. What we have here, it's a light, downlight, which will do a test on inserting it into the hollow saw cut. The process now, I've removed the downlighter socket, trying to fit it at the back here. So and now we see the light is perfectly fitted into the hollow cutting on a plug-in to see if indeed the light will go on. This was a new light, so hopefully everything will be fine. What I did more here was to plug it in on power cable extension. We'll just switch it on and see what will happen, if this indeed will go on. Yes, a new prototype which can also carry the downlighter. Okay, now we're going to switch it off. The next test is for straight or edge cutting. Now you can see. All these prototypes are products that one can work with any tool. The density. This formula helps us to determine the capacity of prototypes on its resistivity or conductivity of the heat when tested through the temperature measurement. The application of this formula is based on the weighed mass of the prototype divided by its volume, meaning the width and the breadth multiplied by the height. So what we are seeing here is the representation of sealing performance based on their temperature resistivity when it comes to outside and inside heat flow. The next prototype F1, which is more of polystyrene products including the straw, it has got the low conductivity such that it results on a wider gaps of the heat flow from outside to the inside of the prototype. The principle can also be seen on this prototype wherein the low density resulted into the wider gaps of the temperature between the surfaces. CL2, which is made of 10 millimeter thick clay only, we see that the graph representing the outdoor and the indoor surface temperatures, the gaps are very narrow, depicting that there is a high conductivity in the material. Based on the observations, one can conclude that the wider the graph, it depicts that the higher resistivity of the prototypes and vice versa. The next phase will be demonstration of data collection. During site visit, there will be a lineup of test box with ceiling prototypes on top of them for testing. A demonstration of temperature capturing, wherein by the use of a digital thermometer, temperature will be read from the surface of the prototype from top S20,3. This is for demonstration purpose. So immediately after measuring the outdoor temperature, and then we get to open the access door to measure the internal. Once it's opened, I take the laser digital facing inside, then I read the temperature. So the temperature data will be 20.4 again. The next question will be to ask if the study objectives are met throughout this whole process. Firstly will be to acknowledge that the clay harvested from the field needs or require proper and thorough cleaning, as it always breaks up and loses the bond. The image is a reflection of how clay can break apart if it's not properly cleaned. A use of a clean clay as an additive to other mixtures results into prototypes that answers to the research questions.